In my experience with games, I'm always going to find flaws in them. Even my favorite games of all time have things I don't like in them, and that can be because they're too ambitious. But sometimes, the simplest games to me can be considered perfect, because they dedicate so much work to a compact experience, and in the end, it comes out flawless. Sayonara Wild Hearts is a pop album video game by Simogo, released in 2019 by Annapurna Interactive. Many have described it as a rhythm game, but I personally think the term pop album music arcade game is more accurate, because this game is an explosion of catchy pop music, over-the-top visuals and aesthetics, and addicting gameplay. The game and its music intertwine together to make the experience that is Sayonara Wild Hearts. There's more to it than that because the story deals with love, heartbreak, and the major arcana of tarot cards, which we will somewhat talk about. But if you want a more in-depth look at the latter, I'd recommend Transparency's video. I'm gonna be real with everyone watching this video. If you haven't played this game, do it right now. Like, now. It only takes an hour to beat. It's only $13. I have bought the game 5 times. If you are a mutual of mine, if I follow you on Twitter, DM me and I'll buy you a copy. That's how much I like this game. I repeat, do not hesitate. Go play it right now. Anyway,
let's pop!
our story starts as a narrator explains that there was once a world where 3 divine arcana, the High Priestess, the Empress, and the Hierophant, ruled over it. But then 5 other major arcana, Death, Devil, Moon, Lovers, and Hermit, stole the harmony of that said world and hid it away in their hearts. And so, to save that world, the divine arcana create a heroine out of the shards of the heartbroken heart, creating the Fool Arcana to fix the shards of a broken heart and begin anew. Our protagonist is then awoken by the Fool Arcana, thrusted out of the comfort zone of her room, and falls straight into the bittersweet Starway. Here you're given enough space to get used to your basic controls. You use the analog stick to move and collect the hearts to increase your score. Each consecutive heart adds to your total score, so the more you collect, the more points each particular heart will give you. You'll get your footing as you move around on your skateboard, while a bouncy pop rendition of Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy immerses you in the world. After taking a leap of faith and chasing this butterfly, she becomes the Fool.
Gold rank. Heartbreak 1.
As the Fool falls into Heartbreak subspace, one of the first major arcana catches her: the Devil. It sounds foreboding, but the Devil is about really addressing the problems. And to address the problems, you gotta head towards it. You're then riding the car through subspace at high speeds, and then the game introduces these teleport tunnels. Now throughout the game, mechanics like this will be introduced here and there, and they may be reincorporated, so you gotta make sure you react accordingly. The Heartbreak levels are more bite-sized levels to prepare you for the next Wild Hearts. The first one simply has the Fool riding on the Devil card through a light-speed heart tunnel towards your destination. This is a journey of restoring Heartbreak, so in order to do so, we must begin again.
Gold rank. Doki Doki Rush.
The Fool arrives at Hate Hell Valley and draws the Wheel of Fortune Arcana. It's a major arcana which represents, well, fortune and destiny. And it turns into a motorcycle. Now you're in a congested city going at high speeds through traffic, but nothing's stopping you. The music perfectly captures the sensation of being on a motorcycle at night, and the vocal breaths are almost like the feeling of wind on your face. The Fool is driving through oncoming traffic, but that's what it's like to face your devils. It's an uphill battle, and you're going to have some obstacles, but that's why you gotta dodge them. You need to guide your wheels of fortune in the right direction. And so the Fool reaches the first wild heart waiting for her: the Dancing Devils.
Gold rank. Fighting Hearts.
The Fool encounters the first wild heart. They're more than ready for her and immediately make their attack. Now the game introduces you to its other basic mechanic, the time button prompts. They're actually really easy to figure out, as the first one freezes for you to figure out what you need to do. Press a button. The use of the prompt shows that this will be a reoccurring thing, and every single prompt in the game is always going to be timed to the beat. The Dancing Devils move around and attack you in synchronized movements, and this transition always gives me goosebumps. This is actually one of the shortest levels in the game, but it compacts so much excitement, and then it perfectly sets up the first vocal track in the game.
Gold rank. Begin again.
The first vocal track starts us with what pop is known for: a breakup song. The Fool chases the Dancing Devils through Hate Hell Valley, but Leanna Olsen's vocals starts off somber, describing the saddest story ever told, and the cold winter snow would unfold.
The saddest story ever told.
pre-chorus builds up to the chorus with the addition of a more noticeable synth, and then the devil taunts and saws the entire city in half. Do I even have to explain how breathtaking and euphoric this is? The thing I love about Sayonara is that this is why I don't like calling it a rhythm game. It has rhythmic elements, yes, but a pop album game is more accurate because it emulates the feeling of experiencing a pop music video. However, you are the one in the action. You aren't just playing or attacking some notes or anything like that. You're the one controlling them through Hate Hell Valley, trying to dodge everything that comes at you. The chorus has lyrics that insist that this is the last time, and the singer wants to move on. While the prologue mentions that the Arcana broke a part of a world, this is a journey of self-discovery and heartbreak. Most likely, the world we're talking about represents the heart of the heroine, and she's had relationship with similar-looking people in her world. And just seeing them now is a reminder that she wants to move on. She claims to want and forget all the pain and regret, but that's all it is, a want. Is she doing anything about it? Well, just moving forward, in denial of how those relationships affected her. Once she catches up to every wild heart, she punches and destroys their heart. Again, again, and again. I guess this is how you begin again.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Begin again.
Gold rank. Heartbreak 2.
Back in Heartbreak Subspace, she latches on to another major arcana, the moon. This heartbreak is similar to the previous one. However, the tempo is much faster. It's almost as if she's running away from the pain of reliving what the dancing devils put her through. Or perhaps she's in a hurry for something more exciting in the dead of night.
Gold rank. Forest Ghost.
The fool arrives at the Woe Woe Woods, where the Emperor Arcana awaits. And it's a deer, and so the fool chases it through the woods. It's clearly leading her towards something, as the buck is a very masculine figure and represents leadership. The track has a feeling of mystery and excitement, trying to see what's next around the corner. And what's next is one of the coolest set pieces in the game. Making this video is a little hard, but sometimes you can just get lost and let the game speak for itself. The fool absorbs the Emperor and meets the next wild heart, the Howling Moons.
Gold rank. Forest done.
So the fool meets the Howling Moons, and they take her for a This is one of the more visually impressive levels as the entire world shifts and gets all twisted. Even the track has that feeling because of how warped the sounds are. If you want to look into it more deeply, you can, but there's a lot of definite hints here on what it means. I mean, if I could jump this high on mushrooms, I think that would be pretty cool. But after that little episode, the Howling Moons turn into mechanical wolves.
Gold rank. Laser love.
So the fool pulls out two arcana, justice and judgment, and they turn into cannons that shoot lasers. This is a super loud and energetic level as you're finally on the offensive, as when they put on their attack, the fool responds with laser cannons. The two arcana, justice and judgment, represent what else? Holding up the law and enacting judgment on those who break it. The wolves are animalistic in nature, and so to avoid their assaults, she has to put on that facade to uphold justice and what's right. Well, considering what happened in the past level, can you blame her? After all that, she still insists on chasing them into the night.
Gold rank. Dead of night.
The camera starts you off in the first person view. It feels weird and awkward at first, but what part of this doesn't? Instead of putting you in the third person like all the other levels do, Dead of Night wants you to feel what it's like to be in the shoes of the protagonist. You're reacting on instinct while dodging what's in front of you. We've previously mentioned that each wild heart could describe a relationship that the heroine had in her life. The first verse of the song describes the singer in a state of loneliness, but awake and following a mysterious sound. The pre-chorus then follows up that the singer is feeling apathetic about whoever the song is talking about. Then the chorus kicks in the most unsubtle way possible. In the level, the Howling Moons combine to form a giant Cerberus robot wolf against you. It's overkill, but it shows that the other lover had more power over them and completely dominated said relationship. This made it a completely lifeless and hollow relationship. The lyrics describe the target as perfectly void of life. Lovers like zombies. Their attacks are fast, but also while the fool chases them, the bridges and forts around her start to crumble. She's realizing what she got herself into and how it affected her. There was a lot of spite and anger that led to what might have happened. Once she sees this, the Howling Moves have to see it too. Back to the chorus, the two lines after it, when all you care for is the fire, you end up blinded by the light. Shows that when you're playing with love for only superficial reason, that reason blinds you and you aren't fulfilled and left empty in the dead of night. After newfound courage, she's able to defeat the Howling Wolves by being the only one alive in the dead of night. Also, it wasn't very obvious. Yeah, this is the sex card.
Heartbreak 3.
The Fool is back in Heartbreak Subspace, and now obtains the Tower Arcana? And has to climb a tower to reach the lovers. This Heartbreak section stands out because it's so different from the others. It's a bit more slower paced because the tower represents change. Instead of going straight forward, you're ascending higher. And the track still makes great use of the timed button prompts. She ascends higher, seeking the lover's arcana, because maybe this is what she's searching for. A lover. After being the only one alive at the dead of night, she wants to claim something as mine.
Gold rank. Hearts and souls.
The Fool arrives at the twilight cry sky, with roads on top of skyscrapers and windmills. And when there's a road in the game, you know what that means. This level is another high-speed run, but adds turns with multiple pathways, and depending on which side you take will grant you more points. Each turn she gets progressively faster, and it makes it harder to avoid the sharp turns with it. The Fool encounters another figure, but this time it's different. In the track, the lyrics, implying she feels something about this particular wild heart. The mysterious figure grants her the Strength Arcana, which morphs into a sword of strength, and so she clashes swords with this figure, slashing her into two, creating the Stereo Lovers.
Gold rank. Parallel universes.
One of the more interesting levels has the Stereo Lovers switching between different universes. I think this is a great time to showcase just how much thought goes into timing the animations for this game. The first section has some switch and snap on every half beat, and the dimensions shift between each other. The next section, every snap is now in thirds, and since the song is in 4/4, the Heart Collect will always be on the fourth beat in the game. This is really smart game design because it makes the player immersed in the game and feel the rhythm. And the next section speeds up as now every switch is on every beat. It's daunting at first, but there's a clear rhythm that you can figure out by zigzagging to each corner. It's up for the player to visually move that way in tandem to the music. And in a twist, the final part has the Fool switching to her own dimension, right on the button prompt. Now isn't that sweet? The lovers then drive off.
Gold rank. Mine.
Gonna be honest, my favorite segment in the game. It starts off as it builds to catching up to the stereo lovers again. Ever since they separated, they've been moving freely and perfectly in sync. Like they're dancing and taunting the fool. They never come back together to be one whole. It's almost like they're happy or separate. They then summon huge swords, and then that lovely chorus kicks in. The song itself is open to interpretation, but its lyrics suggest a very selfish outlook. As the singer is complimenting how perfect the target is, how their wild heart glitters. Maybe the lovers are someone the heroine liked, but unfortunately didn't return that love. She wants a lover so bad that she's willing to bargain with them in the song. Oh, and I just gotta mention, this part where their swords turn into big, gigantic swords, and every impact on the ground hits on every half beat is just perfection. And so since the lovers realize they aren't getting much accomplished by doing this, they destroy the roads, making them look no different than Louisiana's roads. And this transitions into one of the rawest set pieces in the game. Look at how insane of a concept this is. These gigantic swords turn into an airplane, and then you ride your own sword like a hover bike, chasing them through the sky. And then once you get that KO...
Sayonara, wild hearts!
I love this level so much.
Gold rank! Heartbreak 4.
The next venture into Heartbreak Subspace has her riding the Hermit to her destination. The track itself is more subdued and shorter. It emphasizes that she's had enough excitement for a bit and just wants to take it slow. A new mechanic is added where you can switch to the other side to collect hearts, almost like she's seeing a new perspective on things. Instead of just moving left and right, there are more ways to move in the direction. Maybe the world we knew wasn't what she originally thought at all.
Gold rank! Nitrate.
The fool arrives at the Desert of Doubts, and then brings upon the power of the Chariot Arcana, and it turns into a car. This isn't a speedy motorcycle of destiny. This is a chariot. The Chariot Arcana represents determination and the willingness to go on. She's driving her chariot through the Desert of Doubts, so despite having doubts every step of the way, she drifts her way through. No, literally, you get points for drifting. There's a lot of twists and turns and rocks on the way, and they never said it was going to be a straight road ahead. But she's there to seek someone. A wild heart known as Hermit 64.
Gold rank! Rebel.
So Hermit 64 pulls out the World Arcana, and with the power of her Virtua Lady 64, turns the fool into a Game Boy cart. And so the fool slowly goes through a different world of seclusion in first person. It almost feels aimless, but gives her time to see a world from another perspective. Hence, this part of the game is in first person. The track is quiet and has the feeling of being stuck in a trance, alone. And it gives you time to think, and that's exactly what the hermit wants the fool to do.
Gold rank. The world we know.
And so, with the fool still stuck in the console, the hermit forces her to see a new perspective. This is reflected in the gameplay, as now you're in a top-down view from the eyes of the hermit. The size of the screen can show how insignificant she is to the world around her, and she's dodging obstacles that keep getting in her way. Life's gonna throw a lot of things at you. You just have to be able to react properly to them. Even if it seems like there's no way to get through, something is going to push you through it. Most players have had problems with this level, and I definitely did, but you'll see that there is a way through. It's tough, but being alone is one of the steps of self-discovery. While others can and will help you along the way, you have to break out of it yourself. Many lyrics are repeated in the song like, "I'm too old to start changing. I'm too tired to rewind." The fool has been constantly wanting to begin again, but to begin again means to start anew. All the relationships leading to this has made her depressed. But there is hope. In the song, she sings,
They say begin again. I'll treasure any fragments left behind.
it implies that instead of just saying she'll begin again, she'll actually do it this time. Because her definition of begin again meant to just move on without addressing the problem. Now she's seeing everything from a new perspective. She can treasure the things that brought her up to this point and take the good with the bad. She can start her rebirth.
Nice! Gold rank! Heartbreak 5.
Heartbreak 5 has the fool landing on the Star Arcana, which turns into a boat, leading her through the ocean of death. Now the Star Arcana in this case represents what just happened with the Hermit. It's an arcana of hope and renewal. Throughout the game, she's been beginning again. Well, this is actually her true begin again. As the ocean of death comes to an end, the fool falls down those familiar heart passages. But this time, they have gotten narrower, showing that the fragments of her hearts are finally coming together. But this journey isn't over yet. There's just one more major arcana to encounter on the inside. Death.
Gold rank! Transonic rapid.
The fool, with her bike of fortune, speeds through the broken and rainy roads of Love Dead City. And things seem a bit upside down here. Transonic gravity reintroduces these ramps that can take you to the other side of the road on top. And usually this is done so the player can make a decision where to go, find secrets, or get trapped. And there he is, Little Death. A boy that just looks like he wants to have fun. And his idea of fun is riding through broken streets with electricity coursing through them. The song gets really intense here as you chase him through the city, avoiding electricity, making the right turns, and trying not to crash. It's one of the fastest and most intense level in the entire game. And so Little Death stops, and he pulls out the Hangman Arcana to summon Hate Skulls.
Gold rank.
Hate Skulls.
To combat the Hangman's Hate Skulls, the Fool summons the Temperance Arcana, and it turns into a heavenly bow. The Hanged Man is an arcana that means to surrender, but upright it helps you see new perspective, while the reversed arcana of it is indecisiveness. The Bow of Temperance is here to balance that, because that's what it means. The level has you shooting them with a bow to build huge combos. In order to do so and get high scores on the level, it's best to rotate the stick in a full movement rather than just get one at a time. Not to mention the track is mystical in nature, and despite the title being about hate, it's more about love. And Little Death is just standing there, menacing.
Gold rank.
Inside.
A heart-pumping chase through Love Dead City. As Little Death being the cheeky brat he is, he still isn't making it easy for you again. Matter of fact, he mocks you by yawning at one point. And then he summons the Sun Arcana. It's used as an obstacle, but itself radiates success and positivity. You can destroy the obstacle and take the token inside for extra point, but you'll see the same obstacle over and over during the level. This might represent Little Death's personality. Inside is a song that has the singer talking to someone and doesn't have the right words to express what they're feeling. What's mostly implied here is that the singer is trying to express love, but can't find the right words to say it. Everything is staying on the inside. She's accepting who she is and wants to change that about herself. Also, the pre-chorus references Game Boys, Charlie XCX, and Carly Rae Jepsen, and you can tell that these all had a heavy influence on the game.
And it's late night, and it's Game Boys, and it's too bright, and it's in the noise.
The chase keeps escalating from high-speed shuttle chases to punching death in the face, in which she vomits a road on you to speed on through. You know no other game can make this look as natural and fitting as it does here. And once you finally destroys him, he morphs into a giant flying ghost beast that has one eye that's even more aggressive. Fool dodges all his attacks and takes one final shot with a bow of temperance, which only leaves the Eye of Death.
Gold rank.
So we've had a very long journey with this fool, but unfortunately, the journey is coming to an end. But there's just one more thing we must know before we say sayonara.
Wild hearts never die.
We take one more journey into Heartbreak Subspace, and the Eye of Death summons all the Arcanas to make the final assault on the Fool. This is the most intense part of the game. The drums, tempo, sound effects, and visuals overflow your senses that you have to be focused on the game. You have to make sure to memorize the patterns and use the audio cues to guide you. Your heart's beating, making decisions on the fly, trying not to get hit. You just have to keep going and move. You're gonna keep crashing, you're gonna die a lot, but that's what the final level is. It's a final test to see if you've really mastered the game. And it does so exponentially well. And it's so satisfying when you finally stab that sword of strength right into the middle of his eye.
Perfect.
But the alter ego of the Fool leaves the heroine and becomes the heroine's shadow, who takes the form of all the previous Arcana. And so, there's just one more lesson before we say sayonara.
They said diamond knives couldn't kill it, and that our love would live.
Doesn't this look familiar? Things might look the same, but our heroine is wiser. And this time when you charge up your attack, the shadow takes on all the personas of the Wild Hearts, but this is no problem for our heroine. She's been through so much, learned a lot about herself, and is ready to take on any challenge that comes her way. The song Wild Hearts Never Die is not only the final song in the game, it's the most optimistic. It's a celebratory track about learning to love again. Now she has the ability to express that love, and more importantly, love herself. I love the hell out of this song. I can't resist pumping my fist at the beat drop and singing along. It's such an uplifting and powerful track that you feel the emotion behind it within and outside of the game. While things might seem grim, this is not the end. This is not goodbye. Because the Fool now morphs into a dragon, symbolizing the end of our heroine's journey, as she has now slayed her dragon. And so, our narrator grants us these words.
And through the wind, their words soar. From the shards of your broken heart, the real heroine has risen. You have restored the lost
one last kiss to accept her dragon into her heart. And we're on the road back home. And the game still wants to throw multiple pathways at us and flip the world up on us, symbolizing the new perspectives this journey has granted us. There's grind rails, tunnels, and one last reach to chase the butterfly. And it's now within her reach. The heart is restored, and she is made whole again, ready to head to a place she doesn't know.
Gold rank.
Not long ago, in a town much like yours, there was a young woman who fell out of love, asleep, away. For years she fell through spirals of sadness and anger until she could not fall any deeper and fell right back into her grave.
What's the word? Does that thing have
Sayonara Wild Hearts is a pop album game, and the replay value is super high for me. You can go for high scores, master the levels by optimizing your playstyle, and doing no death runs. But it's also a game about heartbreak, self-discovery, and letting go. A place I don't know is a perfect way to end the game because after all that excitement, our heroine is able to let go and move on. It's not just a simple begin again. She treasures the relationships that broke her because they made her stronger and won't forget them. This is implied in the lyrics.
I mistook all this tedium with being at ease, but then you came around, said it's time to let go, and you took me to a place I don't know.
This is what moving on is truly all about. I can't fully relate to the amount of heartbreak that the protagonist had, but the message spoke to me. The current state of the world honestly kind of broke me, and I was so confused and wanted to give in, but in its seclusion, I learned how to love myself. This was one of the toughest things for me to do, and I'm just starting to let go of the past and look toward the future. But just like our heroine, you have to accept the bad things with the good, because it'll only make you stronger when you do. I'm more than ready to be taken to a place I don't know. Wait, what? Queen Latifah was the narrator?
Sayonara, Wild Hearts.